right, good evening, everybody. So tonight, according to many people, is Nittel Nacht, because it's Christmas Eve on the Gregorian calendar. So therefore, here we are. There's a custom, dates back. It's a pre-Hasidic custom. It's one of those things that the Hasidim just kept alive. From these pre-Hasidic customs that pretty much died out. But then there's this question of, Nittel Nacht, which night do we observe? And it's a fascinating sugya that we have there. And I'll just talk about my feelings about this custom. This is a personal view. It's not a traditional view in any way, but it's a fascinating bit of history and so forth. So the Satmar Hasidim is an interesting thing. We call Satmars a Hungarian Hasidus, right? But the fact is, Satu Mare today is in Romania, not in Hungary, but we still like to call ourselves Hungarians. Actually, we're Hungarian-speaking Jews. My Zayda, who came from Satu Mare, didn't speak Yiddish, actually, even though his father did. He spoke Hungarian growing up in America. His parents didn't teach him English. When he went to school, he learned English. Much how, the Satmar Hasidim speak Yiddish, and the kids don't learn English until they're in school. My Zayda was not a Satmar Chassid. They came to America before Satmar Rav was Rav in Satu Mare. But they came from the yichus of the Rabbanim from Krula and Chenger. Which is in the general Satu Mare area. It's one thing people should notice is if there's a popular folk etymology is that Satu Mare means Saint Mary, and it seems that the Satmar Rav believed this because he would call the town Sakmer in order to avoid mentioning a name that's associated with the Avodah Zarah. But the truth is, perhaps in Hungarian it means something like that, but it's actually a Romanian name. And in Romanian, Satu means a town or a city, and Mare means big. And so Satu Mare, Satmar means a big town, a big city. That's what it means. It doesn't mean Saint Mary. So just people should be aware of that. But the Satmar Hasidim observe the second Nittel. What's that all about? Especially, I did my 6th grade social studies report on Hungary, and I know Hungary is a Roman Catholic country that was founded. The first king of Hungary was Saint Stephen. So what's that all about? So the fact is like we said, Satu Mare is actually in Romania, where they follow the Romanian Orthodox Church and not the Roman Catholic Church, which sounds strange to us, considering the name of the country is Romania. You would think there was something Roman about it, but it's actually an Orthodox country, Orthodox majority. There are Catholics there, but it's majority Orthodox, and that area was Orthodox, majority Orthodox Christians. And so therefore, in Satmar, they keep the Zweite Nittel. And I was talking to Lubavitcher Chassidim about this, because Lubavitch, obviously, in Russia, they were Russian Orthodox, and they kept the Zweite Nittel. They were Orthodox, they were part of, the area was an Orthodox area, even though there were Catholics there too. So, why are they keeping the first Nittel? And someone said to me, someone who was a Lubavitcher, he said, well, that doesn't make sense. Why would you keep the second Nittel in a country that keeps the first Nittel? And then, so let me get a little bit further into this. Because actually in Vishnitz, I think they keep both Nittels because Vishnitz was on the border of, you had both Catholics and Orthodox in Vishnitz, so therefore in Vishnitz they keep both Nittels. But in Lubavitch, which is obviously an Orthodox area, they keep in America the first Nittel. I would imagine in Russia they keep the second Nittel, but I have to check on what goes on exactly in Russia. But my answer would be it's just the opposite. We're not being persecuted by Christians in America. There's no reason for us to keep Nittel in America, but rather we remember our past by keeping Nittel according to the country where we came from and not the country where we reside, where we are equal citizens and we don't have these issues as far as with Nittel that you know inspired us to observe the Nittel Nacht. And I was comforted to actually hear vis-a-vis this personally that actually in America, at least, the majority of the Orthodox Christians, Eastern Orthodox Christians, actually are observing Christmas on December 25th. And I'm friends with an Orthodox priest. I know a number of Orthodox priests and deacons. I work with, there's a seminary nearby for Orthodox priests that they have a relationship with our prison, that we have an internship program as part of their studies to be ordained as priests. They have to come visit our prison and be involved with the chaplaincy program for college credit for their master's degree that they need to get to become priests. And it's interesting, we have one who was just ordained a deacon. He actually has his PhD previously. He had to go back and get a master's degree, a master's of divinity, instead of, I would have thought it would be a doctor of divinity, because he already has his PhD, he already has a master's, but they gave masters of divinity is what they give in this particular seminary as a prerequisite for being ordained as a priest in their church. But like I said, in America, they keep Christmas on December 25th. And of course, the way my friend, the priest, told me is that they always kept on December 25th. It was just that was December 25th. On the Julian calendar was January 7th on the Gregorian calendar. But in America, they observe according to the Gregorian calendar. So, and to me, I'll be honest, again, it's a little bit comforting to say, why, I prefer to observe the second Nittel, because, again, we don't have the issues that we had back then. And so, Nittel should be relegated as a commemoration of the past and not, a current present-day conflict. And so, I don't know what they do in Russia as far as, I believe in Russia they still follow the Julian calendar, and some Orthodox Christians in America also follow the Julian calendar still. Their Advent season, they call it something else, is a a period of fasting similar to Lent leading up to Christmas, where they pretty much, I think on Christmas Eve they actually fast as well, and then go into feasting on Christmas. It's a very, very strict regimen that they have in their church. Of fasting. I mean, how they define fasting is pretty much a fast means vegetarian, and but I think actually this time of the year it's actually a vegan meal, although maybe they are allowed to eat eggs. I'm not sure. I know most of their fasts they eat fish, and so they have this time. But it was funny because I went to visit the seminary with some of my coworkers, and it was I believe it was during Lent, so they were serving lobster. That's considered a fasting for them. So, which is interesting. They have their customs, and but I'll be honest. I don't think. We have to see this idea of Nittel as something that we're confronted with today in America. Although I understand the idea about that it looks bad. Why are they awake at midnight and we're not awake at midnight? They're engaging in worship at midnight and we are not. I see that as a valid reason to just stay away from learning until midnight maybe, but it's just an interesting approach. So, but still, I myself, do I even learn that much anyway? I'll probably keep both Nittels also, They talk about the story of the Rebbe Yonasan Eibeshitz, where they asked him, it was a priest, asked him, how is it if you Jews say that the world stays around because of Torah learning? What is the world sustained by when you're not learning Torah on Nittel Nacht? And so he said, well, the sages say Minhag Yisrael Torah. So by virtue of the fact that we're keeping a custom of not learning that night, that keeps the world alive. But then there's time zones, and it's not the whole night. It's just a couple of hours that we don't learn. I know in Lubavitch they're very, I think it was the Rebbe Shab, maybe, he said he was very upset at people who couldn't hold back from learning for a few hours, Nittel Nacht. But again, you can keep the, a sphera, you can, according to Ramosha at least, you can switch which minhag you keep. Are you keeping the first half of Sphira or the second half of Sphira? Right? And so, and you could switch each year. So when it comes to Nittel, maybe you can say, right now I'm keeping the second Nittel, so that's what I'm learning tonight. And then I'll switch the minhag to keep the first Nittel and learn on the second Nittel, and then switch back again. Kind of like, if you have a few shuls in your neighborhood and people are going, were you at Minyan? I didn't see it at Minyan, I went to the other shul. Nobody ever has to know if you don't go to Minyan. So, I've pretty much, except when I was in school, in college, in Bismedrish, I generally was living in one Minyan neighborhoods. I was living in New Hyde Park. You only have one Minyan. White Lake, this time of year. We only have the 1 million, you know. So, well, thank you for listening. Please like, share, and subscribe, comment. And a happy Hanukkah. I want to look at. Someone's told me that in the Kor Chaim it talks about Nittel, so I didn't see that yet. I gotta look at that. It's my Zayda. I'm sure, of course, I should probably keep the first Nittel then if I'm talking all about the Chavos Yair, because of course in Germany they kept the first Nittel. It was, you know, that all of that didn't come into the picture in Germany. I mean, that was already in the time of the Reformation, the post-Reformation era, when the Chavos Yair was alive. They were all Lutherans there. You know, it was different, and still, of course, they were dealing with that. So, well, thank you for listening. God bless. Please like, share, and subscribe, comment, and we'll talk a little more later. All right. Okay.